Welcome to another show. This week, we're going to count down another top 10 worst TV shows from the 70s. The 70s gave us some of the best television in the history of the medium: MASH, All in the Family, Happy Days, and so much more. But today, I want to look at some of the darker episodes of that era, the shows thrown together on a whim, without much thought. They were doomed to fail. Number 10. In the beginning from 1978, McLean Stevenson, Priscilla Lopez. Poor McLean Stevenson, he quit MASH to become a star. Wasn't he one already? Well, he wanted to headline his own show. The best he did was with Hello Larry, which lasted 2 seasons and 38 episodes. Before that, he did this clunker, which only lasted 9 episodes, and 4 were unaired. Though created by famed producer Norman Lear, of All in the Family and the Jeffersons fame, in the beginning was a semi-update of the film Going My Way. It starred conservative Father Cleary and liberal Sister Agnes as they ran a mission in Baltimore. Ratings were beyond poor and the creators bailed soon after the pilot due to network conflicts. Number 9. Flying High closed out the decade in 1979 with Connie Sellecca, Catherine Witt, and Pat Klaus. Flying High had an obviously great premise of following the lives of 3 sexy flight attendants. That description isn't a great sign. Naturally, audiences weren't interested in a show that sounds more like an adult film. The writing was beyond stereotypical and received poor reviews. It was obvious the show was trying to create something Charlie's Angels-esque, but it was just awful. Somehow, it lasted 15 episodes, but there were 3 others that weren't aired. Number 8. Get Christy Love.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm having a wonderful time, Mr. Reardon.
Teresa Graves in 1974. Get Christy Love was a crime drama about an African-American female police detective. It starred Teresa Graves, who was the second African-American female lead in a United States network drama, only after Diane Carroll and Julia. The show, however, was handicapped by blaxploitation stereotypes and was canceled after 23 episodes. It isn't all bad. However, the series gave Louise Smith, the first black woman to serve in a state police force in the United States, motivation to continue with her chosen career while facing discrimination on all fronts. Number 7. Mrs. Columbo starred Captain Janeway herself, Kate Mulgrew, in 1979. Columbo was a great series, so the network wanted to create a spin-off. Even though Mrs. Columbo had a high production value, the characters just didn't feel right. It was to the point where it felt miscast. As if that weren't enough to go wrong with the show, the writing felt forced. The final nail in the coffin was the pace, which was so dull that it felt formulaic. It was nothing the original was, and that's why audiences bailed after 13 episodes. Number 6. Chopper One with Dirk Benedict and Jim McMullen from 1974. After Emergency became a hit for NBC, there was an abundance of emergency service shows that tried to also connect with audiences.
You know what I like about this part of town? You feel safe from muggers? Nah, man, it's the odds.
Chopper One was ABC's attempt at an emergency show. It was about the activities of the California police helicopter team and aired just before Firehouse, a show about a Los Angeles fire station. The show lasted a whopping 13 episodes before ABC gave it the axe. It just couldn't mimic the success of Emergency. The best way to describe this show is somewhat enjoyable, but that doesn't equate to viewers or a long-lasting series. Number 5. Gemini Man with Ben Murphy in 1976.
And believe me, death does not pony up for gas.
Such a thing as starring Ben Murphy? Isn't it more honest just to say that most of the time the camera's pointed at Ben Murphy?
Been accused of murder and stealing $1 million.
I can see into your soul. It is pure, brother. The evidence against you is a videotape.
Gemini Man had a pretty good premise to go off of. Based on H.G. Wells' Invisible Man, this series followed a secret agent who could become invisible thanks to his exposure to radiation. So, what happened? It was just awful. It was so bad that the Mystery Science Theater had an episode about it. No one is really sure whether it was the writing or the actors to blame for its cancellation. Gemini Man had 11 episodes made, but only 5 were aired. Number 4. The Texas Wheelers with Jack Elam and Gary Busey from 1974.
But, I'm going back to school, so... Now that's more like it. A man's job. Romance and adventure. Yeah.
This one is pretty interesting, namely because it starred young Mark Hamill, who is now a huge movie star and household name. The Texas Wheelers was about Zach Wheeler, who returns after years and years to raise his children in rural Texas following their mother's death. Despite having talent, the show wasn't successful. Some critics claim that it failed because it was competing with the Rockford Files. Regardless, 8 episodes were filmed, but only 4 originally made it to the air. The last 4 were aired the following year. Number 3. The Ropers with Norman Fell and Audra Lindley from 1979.
Boy, I really used to score pretty good in those days.
Well, times change.
Maybe I need a better course to play on.
Three's Company was a huge hit, so ABC created a spin-off called The Ropers. It attempted to capitalize on the enormous success of the original, but failed to realize one thing. The Ropers weren't likable enough for people to watch it. The characters weren't funny or interesting, so audiences stopped watching. The show did have 2 seasons, which consisted of 28 episodes. Number 2. Grady, with Whitman Mayo from 1975. Grady was a spin-off of Sanford and Son. After Red Fox left the show, Fox wanted to develop Grady and make it into a great show. But there was one problem. Grady was never a well-developed character, and the show didn't help much. The show flopped pretty quickly, and audiences completely forgot about it a few years later. The problem was that the show couldn't get solid viewership. There were 10 episodes before NBC nixed it from the air. And the number 1 show on our list, Sword of Justice with Dak Rambo in 1978. In this TV series, a playboy by day is a mercenary by night. But this is no Batman tale.
This court finds Jack Martin Cole guilty of 25 counts of embezzlement.
That is an absolute lie.
To leave messages and warnings for criminals, he would place a 3 card of the 4 various suits, denoting a specific meaning. Does this sound a little odd? Yeah, we thought so, too. Apparently, audiences weren't too enthused on the idea, and no one tuned in. The series aired 9 episodes in total before NBC pulled the plug. That was our show for today. What did you think? Have you seen any of these shows? Do you know any 70s shows that are worse than these? Let me know in the comments section. And, while you're at it, I'd be honored if you subscribe to my channel, ring the bell to stay informed, and check out the Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter franchise in the comments section. Until next time, this is Axelin for Kevin Given saying live long and prosper. May the force be with you, and keep reaching for the stars.